Life is it's a blip. We're going to be gone before you know it. It's the next generation moving on. Make your time here, show up here the right way, do it right. Then, you don't have to worry about how much time you've lived because you'll have lived a quality life that was impactful. You've done the right thing. And you could say, you know what? I've done most of the things right, I think. Showed up the right way.
That's Bess Freedman. You know her as the CEO of Brown Harris Stevens, one of the largest and most successful privately held real estate companies in the United States. And you might have seen her as a guest contributor on CNBC, CNN, Fox Business, or Bloomberg. But what you might not know is that she started out as a lawyer at Legal Aid and moved into real estate when she had her kids, Isa and Jacob. She says she's definitely a homebody, spends her free time playing mahjong, and she's never been bored a day in her life. Welcome to Make Yourself at Home, the podcast that takes you into the homes of people you admire to show you a side you don't usually get to see. I'm Kristin Twiford, and every week we'll talk to someone at the top of their career to explore holistic success and how work and home are inextricably intertwined. Along the way, we hope to inspire you to live well, whatever that means to you. Make Yourself at Home is presented by Nines, the household management app designed to help you manage your home and everything that comes with it, so you can live with ease. Today, we're in Bess Freedman's home in New York City, talking about everything from why she hates the phrase killing time to how she and her ex-husband have set aside their egos to help their family find harmony. Bess is a powerhouse in real estate, and she's also someone who makes the time to smile at her neighbors, a mom who took the door off her daughter's bedroom, and a philanthropist who believes in taking a stand. Make Yourself at Home with Bess Freedman. Bess, thank you so much for having us into your home. We're so excited to have you on Make Yourself at Home.
Well, thanks for having me, Kristin. It's nice to see you. You look wonderful.
Thank you.
Hope all's well with you.
Thank you. So nice to see you too. Tell us about where you're sitting today. Set the stage for us and tell us about your home.
So I'll set the stage. I am sitting at my dining room table, and behind me is a bookshelf, which you can see like it goes, way up. I have a lot of books, and this was my spot during the pandemic. When I had to work from home, I hunkered down here. And I did everything from here. And it was great because it's a decent background. It's got all my best friends behind me. And so I love it here. And I sometimes, this is will be where I come, where I sit down and do work, where I play mahjong online. It's a lot of different things, this space. And sometimes everything's off the table and we have dinner here with everybody. So it's a very meaningful, important place. And I'm situated in Manhattan. In New York City. On the Upper East Side is where I live. And I have big, beautiful windows in my home. I'm very lucky. And I have great light. And I love my neighborhood. So I'm a very lucky person. Let's just put it that way.
Yep. I think it's the best neighborhood in the whole world. The most underrated neighborhood in the world, really.
We want to keep it that way. I walk to and from work a lot. And I walked home last night and I came up 2nd Avenue and it was packed with people eating outside and people getting ice cream and talking and hanging out. And it's just such high vibes and it's got such a special feeling. And I know, and then I've obviously know so many people now because of living here for a long time. And it just feels like a real community here. And I love it. Really love it.
I want to ask you about your apartment and how you found your home, because as an expert in helping people find their dream home, was it sort of seamless for you, or was it actually harder because you had seen so many homes before? How did you know it was the right place for you?
Yeah, so I do think real estate is like romance, and there's a chemistry. And when a property is right, it's like when it's love, and when it's a maybe, it's like clothes too. It's like when it's a maybe, it's probably a no. But I knew, we were living in a different location on the Upper East Side in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, beautiful apartment. And by a fluke, I just saw this. It was a bigger apartment. It was in the same building my mom lived in. So I came to look at it. When I walked in the door, it was almost like I said, whatever I have to do, I'm getting this apartment because
Yeah.
everything about it just connected. And so I've been in this apartment since, I can't believe it. Time goes so fast, since 2007. And I love it. It's got everything about the location, the neighborhood, people in the building. It's got a gym, the staff that works here. But it's hard, and I think I work with people who are helping people find their homes every day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's such an emotional decision because you're deciding, well, this is going to be where, when I first get married, where we're living or where we raise our kids, or so, it's got all, or maybe after I just got divorced, my first like bachelor pad or, solo place. So your
Yeah.
home is such an emotional commodity and it's so sacred. You can't even explain how important it is. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
we know when people have a reaction and a connection to it, it's not transactional. I mean, that's what investors do. But what we do is we sell like sacred places for people to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, do things that are really important, personally and sometimes professionally.
Yeah. Can you think of one of those moments in your own home where you felt just so grateful for that sacred place?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic, I mean, it was such a tough time for all of us, but it gave me personally so many gifts. And one of them was this time locked into my apartment with my dog, with my kids, I had teenagers, a daughter, and my son, Jake and Issa. And it was every night we sat around the table and we had dinner. My daughter cooked a lot for us. And then it was movie night. We had this big whiteboard of like, I would write, like, I had like 90 movies that we were going to, like, we didn't get to see all of them, but we were like To Kill a Mockingbird, Shawshank Redemption, La Vita Bella, like all the movies that I love that I've always wanted to sit with them and torture them and make them watch. So we did movie night every night after dinner, and we had, ice cream, and we'd watch the movie. And sometimes it'd be funny, like when Harry Met Sally, we laughed. They loved that one. And sometimes we'd be crying with, La Vita Bella, which is, about the Holocaust. And
Mm-hmm.
so that to me has been my home during that time was so sacred because we were stuck together. We did everything together. We didn't go out that much because you couldn't, and we made the best of it, and we connected and bonded in a way that was so magical. And my ex Sergio, who is one of my best friends and lives one block away, it's their dad,
Yeah.
he
Mm-hmm.
came over, many nights and sat with us on the sofa and watched the movies or had dinners with us. And it united us, and it like reinforced how much love and conversation also, because this dining room table, we have shared and talked. We talked about the murder of George Floyd here. We talked about all the chaos in the world here. We've argued here. We've laughed. We've cried at this table. So all of those things. I mean, that's what I remember most and what's so magical about my home for me.
Mm-hmm. You're one of the most successful people in real estate as the CEO of Brown Harris Stevens. I think people know you as sort of this powerhouse leader. What's something that people don't know about you, about the person that you are when you're in your home?
So first of all, thank you for that. I don't even know what I mean. I really appreciate that, and that's so nice of you to say that. But I think what people probably don't know or what they don't realize is that I'm such a really like a simple person. I
Mm-hmm.
love like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I go to the library and get library books. I'm late on a whole pile I have at the front that I have to return. I love the simplicity of things. Like I love like really easy things. Although I have to dress up a lot and I love fashion, I really, really love fashion and showing up being very, stylish and all that. I also love
Mm-hmm.
like being like t-shirt and ripped jeans and off the grid. And so I think that, persona and what we put out there and who we are, sometimes people think, oh my God, you have it all, everything's perfect. And,
Mm-hmm.
we all have our hard days and so on. And I think I'm just a really like simple person and like things like just being with my family, eating really good food whenever I can, and sleeping, exercising. That's it. It's nothing too exciting, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint. But I mean, I packed a peanut butter and jelly sandwich yesterday in my pocketbook and ate it for lunch. Like it's crazy. Sometimes I go to a lot of fancy lunches and different things and benefits and
Hmm.
parties and meet a lot of people that are, important. But when it comes down to it, we're all human first. I've always known that. And I just I'm just really feel very grateful for all the privileges and things that I've been able to achieve and do and work with the people and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, peanut butter is my favorite food, so I can really relate there.
It is peanut butter is such a great, you go to Spain and it's mantequilla de cacahuete. That's what
Yeah.
peanut butter is. And it doesn't exist there. They put Nutella on like a baguette. That's like their
Yes.
thing in Spain. And I lived in Spain and I was like, they're like peanut butter, que asco, which means how gross. Like they don't like here, it's so American. I love it.
It's such a comfort food.
It's a comfort food. It also like gives you like a little bit of energy. It's so good.
It really is my favorite thing. Thinking about sort of comfort things, your job has to be a lot of pressure. You took over in 2018, you navigated the company through the pandemic, and then you even grew during that time. How do you deal with that pressure and how do you unplug?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that during the time of the pandemic and the merger of the companies, where we're now
Mm-hmm.
almost 3,000 agents and 55 offices and growing,
Yeah.
we just opened a new office. It's if you think about all of it, it can be overwhelming, but um, the team that we have in place is exceptional. So that is how we're able to succeed and do well because, I certainly don't do everything well. I'm good at some things. And Kevin, who's my leader on the West Side, is good at other things. And Hall, who's the president, is good at, so we all sort of complement each other. And Alan Kersner, who's the COO, we all
Mm-hmm.
are able to sort of connect and work together and help each other. Where I'm weak, somebody else is strong. And so I think that's how, but I'll tell you sometimes it's really it's overwhelming and it's
Mm-hmm.
hard and you have to figure it out and you're trying to, push things forward, but I do think progress is always incremental. It's hard because we're so used to like that instant gratification. It's social media. It does that to you. You think you want to get a lot of likes, you want a lot of this, you want that, and you want it right away and fast.
Mm-hmm.
But life really, truly is incremental. It's like the little pieces of what you're doing every single day. It's not the big booms, it's the teeny bits. And I think that's what we've been able to do as a company. We're celebrating our 150th year this year of
Mm-hmm.
being around Brown Harris Stevens, and we're a legacy company. And you don't stay around and be private, and we're a privately held company without doing things the right way. We've certainly made mistakes, but it's sort of incremental progress of trying to focus on what we do, which is sell real estate and rent real estate at the highest level, delivering like hospitality to our agents and to our clients. And we just stay focused on that as best that we can. But we certainly do screw up, make mistakes. It's also human, as you know. It's a little bit of psychology too. We have to hopefully we learn
Yeah.
from our mistakes. That's the key.
Yeah,
Got to learn.
absolutely. When you think back to when you were growing up and you pictured your future, how did you picture the life that you wanted to have? And not just thinking about your career, but more generally, just the lifestyle you wanted to have, the full picture.
That's so like funny because I think when I was little, I just figured I always just wanted to live with my parents. Even when I grew up, I figured that I would be able to live with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was Kristen, I was such a homebody. I
Mm-hmm.
only wanted to, I would like always run to their bed. I hated sleepaway camp. My
Oh.
mom always tells a story about how one day she opened the mailbox and there was like 10 letters from me. I cried, I hated it. I threw myself on the hood of their car so that I was like, please don't like leave me here.
Oh.
I really was probably too attached,
Mm-hmm.
but I pictured myself, I never like thought about whether I would have a family or anything like that. The only thing I was sure of when I was little, and it was because of the influence of my mom, was that was going to be independent because she told, like, I was going to be able to do it on my own because she said, you got to learn to rely on yourself. And as she took me to see, and I've told this story too much, but Bella Abzug, which was one of the
Yeah.
first women in the House of Representatives when I was 9. At that point, I decided that I would become a lawyer. I said, that is what I'm going to do. I wrote it in my scrapbook, I manifested it, and I did it, and I pursued that. But that was the only thing I really saw for myself. I didn't really see, it's like as you're a kid, you dream of all these things, but the only thing I knew that I really wanted to do was be a lawyer at some point.
Yeah.
And I just figured out that I would do that. All the other stuff, it was fuzzy. I also thought I wanted to live with my parents, which when I became a teenager, I totally didn't want to do that. I wanted to be with my
Right.
friends all the, how that changes. It's like,
Yeah.
then you just want to go out all night and like party, and have fun, which I
Right.
certainly did that too. So,
What do you think it was that made you such a homebody, that made you want to just be with your parents all the time?
it's I'm my dad, let him rest in peace. I lost him almost 30 years ago in an accident. But my mom, who's 80 now, and she's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was really lucky. Not everybody grows up with, mom and dad that is actually like very loving and supportive and gives you confidence. Neither of my parents went to college. They were hard workers. My dad was a scrap dealer. My mom was, took care of us, myself and 2 brothers, and they really had a home, and we had dinner every night together. I felt as I think back, I almost get emotional. I felt so loved as a child, and I felt seen. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference. Like they really like saw me as a kid. Like they constantly noticed what I was doing and cared
Yeah.
about it. And not too much. Like I had to walk to the ice skating rink if I wanted to skate. I had to do my own homework. They didn't do that kind of stuff, but they just were like, saw me as this fantastic kid who was outspoken, not afraid to ask for things, get
Yeah.
what I needed. My mom always tells a story. When I was 10, we were on the Israeli airline flying to Israel for my brother's bar mitzvah, and our headphones were broken. And my mom said, I grabbed all our headphones. I'm 10 years old and marched up. And I said, these have to be, she's like, I demanded that they give us the right ones. She said, you were always like this little kid that just wanted to do what was right and
Yeah.
demanded justice. And I think the fact that they believed in me and saw that was like that. Any kid that has that, I think, can do anything. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, as we know, not all kids get parents. It's not about economics. We didn't have much. It wasn't that. It was that just the love and the belief. That's all you need. And I was fortunate because I had 2 parents who just they paid attention and they cared. And that's what a lot of kids are lacking today. And they're so distracted by, this,
Yeah.
and their attention is all over. And that's to me, I find that to be so unfortunate.
Right.
It's really, I think that's just so sad about but we have to do better. We have to do better.
How do you think that impacted the person you are today? Because it sounds like, they really encouraged you to embrace these qualities that came very naturally to you, sort of standing up for what's right and, being bold. Those are definitely qualities that you're known for in your career today. But how do you think that affected the way you live your life every day, the way that you parent, your relationships?
I mean, I think it just has, provided this sort of consistency, and that,
Mm-hmm.
in what I do is, in work, I kind of always do what I think is right. I have the courage of my conviction. I've always been able to, that's never been a problem for me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what indifference means. It's like, I don't believe in that. If there's something that matters, you have to say something. You can't, that, Jews have this thing where it's the ethic of non-indifference. It's like, you
Yep.
got to speak out. You have an obligation to speak out. And even if it's, something is happening in the Asian community and I'm not Asian, I still need to speak out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just speak out when it impacts you. And that's what my parents taught me, and I've always been able to do. And I think that's what I've instilled in both of my kids. I think it was Muhammad Ali who said that, service to others is the rent you pay for being here. And it's
Mm-hmm.
true. Like, it doesn't mean you have to like give a chunk of money. What it means is that when you're walking down the street and you see somebody that you can help them. If somebody's
Mm-hmm.
hungry, feed them. If somebody needs a seat, give them the seat. Those little things are what changes. Like, that's what life is about. Or smile at somebody. It's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to go past somebody and say, hi, how are you? Good morning. Do you know that changes the shape of somebody's day? When you say good morning, how are you? You look so nice. But people just, you go down with looking down at your, at the street and keep going. You can raise the energy
Yep.
of everybody. And I think that's what we're supposed to do while we're here on the earth. Connect to each other, take care of each other. And my parents did that. So I'm doing that. And my kids will carry on that tradition for sure. I mean, I believe I've taught them to do that because they see me do it and they're doing it. So that's what
Yeah,
it's about. It's easy.
it is. And it just taking time to notice those small things can make your day so much better, but can make somebody else's day so much better too.
It's so true. I mean, it's so easy to just be kind, to be helpful, to pay attention, to see people when they're struggling, and do a little something. And especially if you're in a place where you have a platform or you have extra money and you can do something, like why wouldn't you? Like I mean, life is it's a blip. We're going to be gone before you know it. It's the next generation moving on. Make your time here, show up here the right way, do it right, and then, you don't have to worry about how much time you've lived because you'll have lived a quality life that was impactful. You've done the right thing. And you could say, you know what? I've done most of the things right, I think, showed
Yep.
up the right way. And it's not so hard to do that. It really isn't.
Yeah. Today, what does a life well lived look like to you?
A life well lived is having balance, and I think, as you know, because you're Kristen in New York City as well,
Yeah.
we are really challenged with being able to balance. I was texting with my friend the other day. He and I were talking because he also works in a really busy environment. And he's like, yeah, it's like nothing slows down. We're so busy all the time. And it's true. And I find that is where I could improve, is getting more balance in my life and not let it be extreme, like work all the time and not take some time for myself. So I think
Yeah.
a life well lived will have more time spent doing the things that, where you get to read and relax and just take walks and unplug from the chaos of, because I could work 7 days a week. I could
Yeah.
work 7 days a week. I could like nonstop. There's always something that I could be doing. And being able to turn off a little bit and, and spend time with the people you love. And I think a life well lived for me is spending a lot of time with my family and eating a lot of good food. You
Yeah.
know, as for Jews, food is the nucleus of everything we do. If we
Yeah.
like go to Chicago, we call each other, we go, yeah, I went to Chicago, I had the best sandwich I ever had in my life. Or you go to Palm Beach, oh my God, the lobster roll. That's what we talk about, is how
Yeah.
good the food was. A trip is planned based on the food. It's not the sights. It's like, what are we eating? That's what we care about. It's all about the nosh. What are
Yeah.
we having? Oh, that smoked salmon. Have you ever had better smoked salmon? I mean, this is what my mom and my brothers, when we go out, are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or if it's bad, it's also another talk. Oh my God, I couldn't eat. So for me, it's like also, it's a lot of good meals, like good quality food with the people I love. And my
Yeah.
mom, and I have two brothers who I'm so tight with. I'm in the middle, and they're the best storytellers you've ever met in your life. And they make me laugh where I literally, I'm not exaggerating, you cry because they're so funny. And so,
Oh.
yeah, that to me, that's all. Like if I hang out with them, I'm so jazzed and I can't stop laughing. And so laughter, comedy, a life well lived is also some time spent with a lot of humor. I love stand up, by the way. I'm a huge, huge fan of like
Oh,
shows like
nice.
Seinfeld and
Yeah.
yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And Dave Chappelle is such a treasure to the universe. I love him.
Do you find that what you're striving to make time for has changed over time?
Yeah, I mean, I think now because the children, like my son is now 17, my daughter just turned 20. They're their own, they're like adults. I think they're doing their own thing. And so
Yeah.
now, back when they were younger, it was like a lot was centered around getting them in a good place. Because when my daughter was a teenager, or 12 and 13 and 14, that was rough
Yeah.
because it was the social media. We had some challenging times, and when she and I talk
Yeah.
about it now, but I took the door off of her room, removed it. I called the super. I said, take her door off. I need to see what's going on in there. And I took her computer, took her stuff. I had to really like pull back. She and I, it was like this for 6 months, and then she just came out like she got it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time was spent more focusing on them, and then it was work. And now that I have more freedom, you know, because they're doing their own thing, I can do the things I like. And I like to travel. I think I told you before, the mahjong is a big piece of
Mm-hmm.
what I love to do. And I have a group of women. We're called the goddesses, I think. We call each other the goddesses. And we travel together. We're going to Las Vegas in October for a tournament, a mahjong tournament.
Amazing.
But it's not about the game. It's about, you know, we come together and we play and we connect and we share our life and what's going on. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
have more time to do that. I have more time to have a personal life, and
Mm-hmm.
enjoy that, and go to concerts and do the things that I like to go to the theater. So that I'm giving myself a little bit more time for that kind of stuff, which is, you know, which is great. I'm lucky that I can do that now.
Can you think of a decision that you've made in your life? It could be something big or something so small that has been key to your happiness today. Like one moment or one decision.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know if I describe it as a moment or a decision,
Mm-hmm.
but what I would describe it as, I'm going to switch it a little bit, as more of
Sure.
a philosophy that I kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, was like, I don't know if you saw The Last Dance, Michael Jordan's like documentary, and I don't even watch
Yes.
basketball. Like
Love.
I never did. So I watched that documentary some years
Yeah.
ago when it came out. And, you know, with what we do, it's hard not to get caught up in so many different things. And your mind is also like, you know, the narrative. So that's hard, you know, sometimes. And when I watched that and I listened to a lot of him, you know, I kind of had, there was like a pivot for me, because something where he talked about how you can never, and I said, yes, it was like a revelation. He said, you can
Mm-hmm.
never chase anything. Don't chase things. Just think about yourself and be the best that you can be. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
all gonna like happen. And it happens the way it should. And I was like, exactly. And in everything, whether it's a relationship, personally, a romance, you can't chase it. Friendship, you can't
Yeah.
chase it. Professionally, whatever you're trying to, it meaning like, don't like try to go after it like you don't have it, because
Mm-hmm.
then you're never gonna have it. It's more of saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the best me, and like work towards it, believe in it, and it all. So I think it's more of a philosophy for me that I adopted
Yeah.
that changed everything, because I let go of all the other stuff. I just said, I'm going to just focus on what I'm trying to do and myself and the things I care about, and what will be,
Yeah.
the universe will be. Stop chasing. I say that to my kids all the time. Don't chase it. Be you, do what you got to do, because the chasing is saying you don't have it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
such a bad, and you see it, it's like desperation. It's not a good, so I think that would be something that was very helpful for me personally and professionally. And
Yep.
also the other thing I would just say is that in relationships, I'm just talking personally, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, people get married, people date, all that stuff. In my experience, because I've been married, I've had relationships, you know, sometimes things don't work out, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It doesn't, you know, you can still love somebody and not be in a relationship, you know, romantically with them. Like my ex and I are best friends. We travel together and we love each other. He has a new partner. I'm dating somebody. We get along beautifully. You can still love and be detached. And so I think people think it has to be complete hate and you can't talk. And there's a way to do it with harmony. And we have been able to do it, and I think others could do it. I think that's a great way to live your life, because most of the time people split up. Unfortunately, you know, if marriage was a car, you wouldn't buy it. It just is not working for a lot of people. You know what I mean? So I would say that's okay if it doesn't work. You tried. But you know what? It also means that you can still respect and love the relationship that you had. Every relationship, my ex boyfriend that I had, I'm still friends with. Like you can
Wow.
still, you can do things. Doesn't mean I'm hanging out with him every day, but it does mean that we're friends and we have each other's backs and we look out for each other in a nice way. And I wish him well and he wishes me well. You can do that. It
Yep.
doesn't have to be all, you know, I think we get caught up sometimes, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Emotions go crazy sometimes.
Absolutely. Can you think of something that is sort of the key to that harmony when you look at your relationship with your ex-husband? Like, I think probably plenty of people listening to this are thinking, how could I create that harmony? So what would be, as you reflect back on that, certain things that you did or conversations that you had or things that you let go of that helped you find that harmony?
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's a really such a good question. I think that first of all, there's always going to be when a relationship is you're together and it breaks apart, usually
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody that instigated the split. And that can be hard, but let me just say this, whether you instigated it or the other person did, it hurts for both of you. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter who decided it. The person that had to decide it is struggling just as much, maybe even more, because they don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it was right. And so it's painful for both people, putting your ego aside. Once you can acknowledge and understand that, and if you really did love that person and care about them, and especially if you have kids with that person, why not take the high road, which I know there's not a lot of traffic up there, but the high road, when you're up
It's hard to
there
get there.
and you take that, hard to get there, right? The rent, it's
Yep.
expensive too, by the way, very costly up there. But when you are up there, you can say and have honest conversations. It's hard to, when you're just loving somebody, it's hard to go against that. So, what
Yeah.
we were able to do is have honest conversations. It was painful and it was hard. And there was a moment where we had to, like, we were not in synchronicity. But what I would say is if you can detach with kindness and love, um, you can have such a good life, and your kids are the better for it. My kids say all the time that we have a better relationship than a lot of their, friends who have parents who are together. And you can do that. And especially if you have kids, I think you have an obligation to do so. Set your ego aside and say, look, I want to have a happy life. You want to have a happy life. If we're stuck together anyway because of the kids, why not make it the best we can? And even if you don't have kids together, and if you cared about that person truly, and it wasn't selfish, like I love you, it's more I love you, like
Mm-hmm.
I love you because of who you are, you can do it the right way. But if you didn't really love that person or care about them, then that's something else. That's attachment versus connection. Very
Yeah.
different. I'm sure it's like, attachment is something else. That's just like your mind, you get used to it. A connection is like something deeper that you're like, I'm in it. We're
Mm-hmm.
together, we're a unit, we get each other, we vibe, we know each other. Those relationships are hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
And people, for whatever reason, I have so many friends right now that hate their ex, hate them. And they are like waging a war. I have a friend who's going through the worst divorce ever. And she's just destined to she's like, I don't care. I'm not doing it. I'm going to get everything. And I'm going to, and I'm like, wow, you're really going down that path. Good luck. Because a lot of your time, which is limited on the planet, is now
Mm-hmm.
spent in a war fighting with somebody when you could be spending it in a good mood with somebody you like. What are you doing? But that's your ego. That's all ego. That's ego saying, "Ooh, I got to win. I got to be this. You got to get past." I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully be evolved, get past it. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt and it's not hard. It just means at the end of the day, when you look back, you'll say, damn, I did that right. I respect myself. I did that the right way.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of the times, even if you're sort of setting your ego aside and it can be very painful, in the long run, chasing the wrong thing really hurts yourself more than it hurts other people around you.
It does. And I'm not, by the way, I don't want to pretend that any of this is easy because it's hard. There are times where you have a moment where you want to have an emotional response to somebody and be reactive. But I say, take a moment before you respond and give yourself some space to digest it and then choose how you're going to respond. A lot of times I just don't respond. I just
Yeah.
like to people who are saying negative things, which happens at times with I get emails or in comments or people say stuff or whatever. I just don't get in the mud. I don't want to be in the mud because once you're in there, it's hard to get out. So I say, you know what? I'm gonna stay out. I'm staying
Yeah.
out of there. Let them fight it out. They want to say good. You want to say I'm a jerk and this, go for it. Have
Yeah.
fun.
Can you think of a time where you felt like you were really chasing something? It could be personal, professional, early on in your life where you're, just chasing the wrong thing. And then when you let it go, it just opened up a world of possibilities that you
Oh
didn't
God.
expect?
Lord, I'm going to say personal because
Yeah.
I'm going to just get personal for a second
Mm-hmm.
because I was in a relationship, one of my most serious as a younger, like 20 years old. I had a very
Mm-hmm.
serious relationship. And for a few years, let's just say, throughout
Mm-hmm.
college and for a little bit of law school. And boy, was it the wrong relation. I mean, the absolute wrong relationship for every reason I could go through. For I don't know why I was so attached to this person who was
Yeah.
so bad for me, brought out the worst in me, and I kept chasing it. And it was got worse and worse. And my mom, I swear to you, called me one day and threatened. She said, I'm just going to kill myself if you stay with him.
Oh.
She was kidding, of course. That's Jewish humor. She was heartbroken because she felt like, and
Oh.
it wasn't that I was better than this person, not at all. No, there's no such thing as that,
Mm-hmm.
really. It was just that we weren't in alignment. We were from different, like, we did not, he treated me horribly, and I mean horribly. He was so selfish and narcissistic and just not nice to me. And I just, I chased it. I kept like going and I wanted, and it got worse and worse and worse. And wow, when I got the strength to like break up with him and move on, my whole life changed. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
every door opened, everything was different. I showed up differently. I felt differently. My confidence went way up. I felt like a zero when I was with him.
Oh.
And that was my fault. But once I got free, it's so crazy. It was like the lights went on. Everything like
Yeah.
changed. And but it was very hard to do the break because I was
Yeah.
attached. And I was like, what if I, you think, what if I don't find anybody better? These are the things you say to yourself. But once you get past it and you get further and further, you're like victory.
So much of this conversation, I think, has been about harmony and alignment. What advice would you have to somebody listening who wants to find that harmony?
I mean, harmony is tough. I mean, it depends on where you are, what you're doing, and what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are, let's just say if you are a lawyer and you're just constantly working and trying to make partner, which, younger lawyers are always doing. They're working these crazy hours and
Yeah.
they're working, overtime and doing all this stuff. And that's really their life. I will bet you that they probably don't have a lot of harmony because they're so overloaded with work. And it can be any, it can be in the finance field, it can be whatever it is. And I think harmony is something only that you can have inside when you have peace with things,
Mm-hmm.
with yourself, and you feel like you're in a good place with people that matter to you, and you feel like you're doing things the right way. It's just a matter of doing the things that take care of you emotionally and physically. I am a big believer in physical. I think emotion comes from motion, and I think whether it's walking, whether you want to do, like, I do boxing, I love boxing, or do whatever it is that you do that helps you to feel better. I think that makes us all better people. Some physical, whatever it is, that will give you incredible harmony. And it'll also keep you calm and feel good emotionally and physically.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. I want to get into our lightning round of fun questions.
Oh boy, I'm scared of these.
You said earlier that as a kid you were a homebody. Would you still call yourself a homebody today?
100%. I just don't. People invite me to come stay at your house, do this, do that. My favorite place in the world to be, and you could offer me the Georges Cinq in Paris, which is a beautiful hotel. I love to sleep in my own bed and
Yep.
be at home all the time. It's just where I feel like my safety zone. I swear, the other night, when I was in bed and my bed is so cozy and I was so like comfortable. I was thinking, this is such a blessing. Like, I have this really comfortable bed, and I feel really good, and I'm sleep, like, and I have no aches and pains, and I'm going to,
Mm-hmm.
so we take that for granted. Like, if you wake
Yeah,
up and you're in your right mind, that's a gift. Like, it's just,
absolutely.
so I think I'm still very much a homebody. I love tinkering at home. I love to be at home. I've never been bored a day in my life. I don't know what boredom even means. When my son used
The
to say,
same.
"Mom, I'm bored," I would say, well, then you must be a boring person because there's a shit ton to do. Read a book, To go outside, ride your bike, talk, there's so many things to do. How can you be bored?
Yep.
That, and when people tell me I'm killing time, I go, why would you ever kill time? Time is our most valuable
Totally
resource.
agree.
I know what they mean. But I always am like, time is like, to me, and I'm more precious with it. Sometimes if I have to meet somebody for dinner, it's like a work dinner. I will look at the menu online before I have to meet them so that I know what I'm going to order so that I can move along the dinner quicker. That's just sometimes to
I get that.
preserve time.
Mm-hmm. I
Yes,
get
it's a
it.
little
Time is a
wackadoo.
gift.
Time is a gift and it's our most valuable resource. You don't get more of it. So,
Yep.
every day, you're getting a little older, time is going by. So don't kill it. Like live right now. This is all you got, buddy. You don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. So
It's
like
so
make
true.
it fantastic. Kick ass when you're out there. Kick
Yes.
ass.
And enjoy every moment.
Got to do it. Doesn't
Yep.
mean you can't have bad days because you and I both know,
Yeah,
Kristin,
of
there's
course.
days that are hard and there's days that we feel like we all have days where we just want to stay under the covers. I do that. You have to let yourself do that when you need to. But for the most part, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, life is good.
So true. Where's the best place in New York
Right?
City for smoked salmon?
Okay, so the best place, Baltazar's has great smoked salmon, really good smoked salmon. But I must say that EAT's on Madison between 80th and 81st, which I've been going to forever, has really good smoked salmon too. They slice it really thin for me, and they have this like special bread, this whole grain special bread. And I do this weird thing with I put a little cream cheese, the smoked salmon, capers. I don't like onions because I'm very self-conscious. I don't want my breath to be fuming. So I know it tastes good, but I don't do it. A
Yeah.
little bit of lemon, a little salt. Believe it or not, I put salt on it and a little bit of pepper. And me tell you, that is zen for me.
If you could live anywhere, practicality aside,
Yeah.
where would it be?
You mean anywhere besides New York or including New York?
It's including. This is your question. You can choose to stay in New York or you could live anywhere
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
world.
I can't live. I mean, if I could live anywhere in the world, I would live in New York City.
Yes.
I wouldn't trade New York City for anything. But I will give you my number two place in the world, would be Spain. I would live in Spain, and I would probably want to live in Madrid. I love Sevilla too because that's where family is. But Spain is a number two. I love the country. Everything about Spain is incredible. The food, the people, the culture, the lifestyle. It's like heaven. It's heaven. It's a number two, but New York City, there's nobody better than New York. She's numero uno. Nobody competes with New York. Sorry.
Yes.
Right?
What's something in your home that makes your life easier?
My Nespresso maker. No, because I just dropped the capsule in. I used to use what's called a cafetera,
So
where
easy.
you make the coffee and you put it on the stove. But now I just take the capsule, heat up a little bit of almond milk, and then microwave, and literally, in like 10 seconds, you have a delicious cappuccino. So I would say that makes it easier because the first thing I do in the morning when it's like still dark out is make a coffee, and it's easy, nothing to clean, nothing to do. So that makes life great.
If you could give up one household chore for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Dishes.
You never had to do it
Dishes.
again.
Hate doing dishes. Hate anything having to do with dishes. I don't iron or do any of that stuff, but I would give up anything with dishes and cleaning and all that stuff. I not a fan. I mean, I know it's important, but that's something I don't necessarily like doing.
Who's someone you admire who you think really lives well?
Oh God, that's easy. Oprah. I mean, if there was anybody I could ever like that I'm jealous of and I want to like, or that I think just lives life the right way, and like she has a house with like a gazillion dogs in it, and and like that would, if I could do that, that
Yep.
would be my dream come true. And she has somebody that helps her to take care of them too. She gets to have them in bed and hang out with them, and somebody else does the cleanup. I mean, hello, sign me up every day. But she also like eats very well. She like gets stuff from her garden. She's just like, to me, she's like one of the most incredible people on the planet, in the world. She's been a gift to the universe. I mean, I listen to her podcast religiously. Like, I've learned more from her than I think anybody. I adore, I love. I don't need to hang out with her. I don't need to bother her. I never would do that, but I'm appreciative of what she's given the planet and to people. And she's living like, I'm a little jealous of how she gets to like have all the dogs. I'm like, one day if I can, that would be my dream to be able to have like 10 dogs and like just be able to hang out with them and have somebody else clean up all the stuff. That'd be perfect.
Yes.
You know?
I love that. All of them on their little leashes on the street in New York City.
Heaven. One day, you never know. We'll see what happens. I got a little time for that.
And last question to wrap it up here. What inspires you to live better?
I would probably say my kids. My kids do, because, I want to be healthy and be a good role model for them. But I care deeply about that and how they, grow up and what they do and what they achieve. I don't care about the economics. Obviously, I want them to be able to make a living for themselves and be independent, but I want them to, do what they are good at and thrive. Not necessarily, you can't always do what you love because you might not be good at what you love, but I want them to find what they're golden at, their true north, what really they're great at. And I want to be able myself to, for them, show them that I'm able to do that and they can kind of do the same thing. So yeah, my kids, kids are like, they're the ones that when the days are tough that you say, I got to keep going. They're the ones that, when you don't feel so great, you say, I gotta keep up, I got to keep doing my thing. I can do this. I can make it. They give me they give me fuel for everything. My mom too, by the way. Yeah, I have to add my mom.
Amazing. Well, Bess, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristin. Thank you so much. I've loved talking to you.
I have loved talking to you. Thank you so much for being on the show. I love this conversation.
Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. And I hope that all is well with you. I'll see you in the neighborhood. See you in the Upper East Side.
Yes.
See you in the
Upper East Side.
I love it.
Thank you to Bess Freedman for welcoming us today. Subscribe to Make Yourself at Home to hear more conversations like this one, and be sure to follow along with Bess at bessfreedman.com. We'll see you next time on Make Yourself at Home. Make Yourself at Home is presented by Nines, household management software that helps you manage your properties and everything that comes with them, so you can make the most of your time at home. Learn more at ninesliving.com.